2 months of overgrowth and zero maintenance, and this is the result. Product lifting, cracking, and this nail is literally breaking in half. This lady shared that once she bumped into something with this nail, it was so painful, but it was about a couple weeks ago, so now it doesn't hurt anymore, so it's all good. But honestly, I have a bad feeling about this nail, but let's not jump into any conclusions yet and get to work. Remove the product so we can see what's going on under the gel. When removing nails like this, when we have lots of product lifting, you need to be careful because sometimes you can file the lifted area and it will come right off and you will not even notice how the drill bit is already right on the nail and we can accidentally overfile it. So be mindful, be careful, and most of the times we can see the lifted areas right through the product. So I'm using ceramic drill bit. The speed is 28,000 rotations per minute, and I focus on removing the area around the lifted parts first, and then I file off the lifting. Well, honestly, it kind of comes off by itself. There is no doubt that we are not going to even try to do infill here. We're definitely doing product removal. So it's much easier if you file off the free edge first, because like I said, we're not going to keep it, and then we proceed with removing the rest of the product. So once I did that, I was quite surprised. So I filed off the free edge and look how thick the product is. OMG. This is another reason why the product was lifted. If we have extra thick nails, once they're short, it's not a problem. Well, not big of a problem. But once they start to grow longer, especially after a couple months, we have overweight of the product on the free edge area. So it starts to press on the nail and the product near the cuticle starts to lift, which means even if you did a good job, even if the prep and application was flawless, but we still have too much product on the free edge, then this is what can happen. And like I said, be very careful when filing off the lifted parts. So do not try to remove the lifted area right away. Your goal is to remove the product around it. So you simply need to see where the lifted area is. Usually it's more whitish, sometimes it's a bit yellowish, but it's definitely very different from the product or the nail. And your goal is to file all around it. And once it gets thinner and thinner, the lifted part is going to come off by itself. I get this question very often: why do I use the same drill bit for product removal even if I'm removing thick nails or I'm removing a thin product on the nail? It's all about electric nail file control. If you feel it well, then you can remove it all the way to the nail like I do, but you need to understand what you're doing. Unfortunately, there is no way how I can demonstrate the pressure through the screen, but trust me, as I get closer to the nail, I do a very, very light touch, like basically I'm barely touching the surface of the nail, and this way I'm not damaging it. Let's work on this poor nail. It's damaged, it's split, so please pay attention on my left hand, the way I'm holding her nail from underneath, so it's not going to bend. And I'm carefully working on top. But the client assured me that there's no pain, it's not painful or sensitive anymore. That's what helps me to work more confident, and some people say a bit more aggressive, which means, yes, I am applying pressure like I normally do. I mean, if her nail would have been sensitive, I would definitely be more careful here. So we have a massive product lifting here. I assume that some part of the product fell off already. And also there's a tiny area of the product that is still adhered to the nail plate. So we need to take care of it first so the lifted area will come off easily. And this is when I realized that the lifted part is not our biggest problem. We open the door and we see that underneath we have split damaged natural nail. I always take pictures, take videos of nails like this. Sometimes I just want to show it to some of my clients or students because unfortunately this is the kind of damage that can happen when you have this terrible overgrowth. It's really not likely to get this kind of injury when you're always doing infills on time because your nails are going to be protected. But once you have thick application, outgrown nails, this is what can happen. So I'm going to file her nail as short as possible because there's no need to keep the free edge because we're definitely doing new extensions. Like I said, we're just super lucky that this nail is not hurting anymore. By the way, if you're dealing with a nail that is hurting, there are two ways. You can either wait for 1 or 2 days until it's not as painful, or you can use a tip glue to put it back to the nail so at least you can file it off. Then I proceed with product removal, which by the way was pretty easy because the product is literally falling apart under the drill bits. Lifting is flying all over the place and is just super easy to remove it. And of course I'm filing the nails as short as possible since we're doing new extensions and there's absolutely no need to keep the length of the nails. And then we need to do prep, cuticle and manicure, and we need to push back the cuticles, and they're quite challenging today as well. Look, these are the cuticles, I call them massive type of cuticles, which means we have plenty of dry skin to work with, but also they're not that easy to push back. They do not separate from the nail plate as easily. And in these cases, sometimes it's easier to use metallic pusher compared to orange wood stick. It also takes the entire cuticle at the same time and pushes it back. So I'm pushing it back and cleaning the spreading part of the cuticle from the nail plate at the same time. If I skip this step and try to do it with electric nail file, then inevitably I will need to do it many times and touch the nail plate, which may lead to overfiling the nail. Pay attention not only to the part on top, but also to the area along the sidewalls. And this is how I'm going to push it back properly, so it will be easier to do the next step. Let's file her nails as short as possible and take care of this poor split nail. So besides the fact that we have a split right in the middle, there's no way we can cut this nail short because this split area is right in the middle of the nail bed. But there's also some area that on the left side is not attached to the nail bed anymore, so I just cut it off, then I file it off, and unfortunately I cannot really reach it with my hand file. That's why I'm going to use this small ceramic bead, and at a slow speed I carefully remove this. The reason I'm doing that you need to understand, this part is not growing back. I mean the whitish part of the nail, this is the one that is not attached to the nail bed anymore. So the more we remove it, the better. So then we do like we normally do a dry manicure. I'm using a flame-shaped diamond bead with red abrasive mark. By the way, there are different kinds of them, and this one is slightly longer, which is just perfect for a skin like this because we have longer cuticles, we have dry skin. So I'm going to clean this area under the cuticle, along the sidewalls. Do not forget to clean the dust from time to time so you will see and understand what is going on. Another important part of the nail prep is that I am cleaning the skin, not the nail. Yes, I barely touch the nail plate at some point, and this is the reason why we don't have any surface shine in this area, but I'm not pressing on it at all. All the pressure goes into skin. By the way, if you would like to learn how to control electric nail file to be able to do product removal, dry manicure like this, infills, and many other things, you can learn it from me online. I have an online course, eFile 101, which is perfectly suitable for beginners. It's not just watch and learn like we're doing now on YouTube. It's an actual class with assignments, with live teacher feedback and certificate of completion once you pass all the assignments. I will leave the link down below so you can learn more about it and enroll. Then we proceed working on the opposite side, so I switch to reverse mode and use the same speed, which around 18,000 rotations per minute, and I'm going to clean the cuticle in the center and along the opposite side wall and push it back, so later it will be much easier to trim it. And normally after this step I like to file off the surface shine, because if we do it after I trim the cuticles, this area might be a bit sensitive, and also I don't want to touch the skin that was just exfoliated and clean. So it's better to do it beforehand. You can use 180 grit file or you can use 180 buffer. It's up to you which one's more convenient. Make sure that the surface of the nail is matte, you don't have any shiny spots. And then I'm using manicure scissors to carefully trim the dead tissue. Sometimes I get questions, is it better? Is it easier compared to nippers? Honestly, this is just a matter of preference. You can absolutely do the same thing with nippers. Honestly, when I was taught in a nail school, we learned both, but for some reason, manicure scissors just work better for me, so I use them most of the time. Oh, this poor nail. Now let's take care of it. So I removed everything I could. Then I'm going to apply dehydrator, non-acid primer, and a thin layer of base coat. And it's important to use a HEMA and TPO-free base coat for it. And now we need to straighten this area, because this stress area is the most important area of the nail and it's already damaged. So I'm going to use a silk like this. From my experience, I tried so many different things. This is the best one because a silk like this gives a lot of strength. And also I'm using hard gel in addition. But since it's flat and the nail is not, it has a curve, I'm going to use a dual form. Then I cure it and remove it. So now we have this silk with gel on this nail, and the layer is rather thin, so it didn't give much additional volume. All I need to do is just to carefully file it to make sure we don't have any sharp edges, and also this area that we have on top, we can smooth it out using 180 grit file, or you can use buffer. It's up to you, just make sure that the area is matte and smooth. While I was fixing her nail, my client was doing something on her phone. She was chatting with her daughter, exchanging voice messages, so she was not even paying attention to this process. So then I was done, and she looked at this nail, and I was already working on her opposite hand, and she said, "Wait a minute, what did you do? Like, are you a witch? Like, how is this possible? My nail looks like a perfect healthy nail, like it was not even damaged. How did you do this magic?" And the best part is when I touch it, it doesn't hurt at all. Like, how could you do this? Well, I said, luckily I have some video footage I can show you, but look, it really looks like a healthy nail, well, almost, besides this little red line. And that's exactly how it feels. So this is one of my favorite ways to fix damaged nails like this. We used hard gel, so she will not need to soak off this part. It will simply naturally grow off eventually. And from this moment, we are going to treat this nail like regular healthy nail, like the rest of them. Now let's do some beautiful nail art that was inspired by a beautiful silk or satin fabric. I applied dehydrator, non-acid primer, and a thin layer of base coat that we cure for 30 seconds in LED lamp. Then we're going to do extensions, and I'm going to use dual forms, but I'm not doing the full extensions yet. I'm only building the base. So imagine if you used soft gel tips or you did full sculptured nails. That's not the case. We need only to do a super thin foundation because the design we're about to do will require some volume, and to avoid making our nails that are going to be too thick, I'm going to use part of the structure of the nail as the design. So I'm doing this thin foundation of the new gel, apply it right on the nail. We're using square-shaped forms with a deep C-curve because this client has deep natural C-curves of her own, so this style matches her perfectly, but I'm also not applying it all the way to the cuticle. I have this little margin on purpose. So after flash curing the gel, I fix it underneath so it will be smooth and flawless. This is what we have now. We remove the dual forms, and this is the moment I realized that some nails were kind of long, but that's not a problem because we have electric nail file and ceramic bead. So I'm going to file them as short as we need. Well, not too short, of course, because we're still doing magic after that. And if you filed some free edge of the nail, you always have this excess thickness. And the best way to remove it is to file it off underneath. So I'm going to use the same ceramic bead to do that. And the best way when working with dual forms is that we don't really need to do much filing and shaping. They are going to do everything for you. Well, almost everything. So we just need to file the free edge to make sure that the length and shape is identical, and also file the sidewalls and make sure they're on point. Also, I'm going to buff the nail to make sure that it's all smooth, it's matte. If you applied the dual form and there was this little ridge between the nail and the dual form, you need to fix it as well. Make sure that you're filing only the product, not the nail. And once we have all that, I realized that we also need to do the index finger, so let's do it from the beginning so you can review this technique again. Dehydrator, non-acid primer, thin layer of base coat, and cure. So then I take a dual form and with a marker I measure the area where the free edge starts. This is how I will know where I need to stop the product application. Then I apply some nude gel underneath and install it on the nail. At this point I flash cure the nail, so it's not fully cured yet. That's why I can easily fix this product underneath and fully cure it in a full hand lamp for 1 minute. Then I remove the dual form and we have perfect flawless foundation of the nail. Keep in mind that this is not a finished nail yet. It's too thin, so we cannot finish right now and apply the color on top. This is not going to be enough. We don't have any product on the apex area near the cuticle. There should be a little bit more work to be done. Are you guys ready for some magic? So we are going to apply black color first as the background. 1 coat is enough. Then you can use any thick consistency sculpting gel. It doesn't have to be any specific 3D nail art gel or anything like that, just any extra thick gel, and do a little mess. I prefer doing mess in the waves because my inspo is this: red silk or dark red satin fabric. It looks so pretty, and that's exactly the look we are going to create on her nails. Then we need to cure it, seal it with a no wipe top coat, but it's important to apply it super thin so you will not ruin this texture. Then cure it. With my product, it's 40 seconds, but it really depends on the product, on the lamp, on the technique you are using. And apply a silver chrome powder. I'm using my favorite soft applicator. It works all the time smoothly. Apply it all the way to the cuticle, and at this point, my client was like, wow, this looks like liquid metal. I love it. Maybe we should keep it like that. And I agree, I love this look as well, but unfortunately we cannot keep it exactly like this. I mean, we would need to at least seal it with a gel, but what's coming next is going to look pretty too, I promise. So then I use a soft brush to remove some excess chrome powder around the skin, around the nail, and we have these beautiful metallic nails. I'm going to use a red jelly color. I have no doubts that other colors are going to look great too. Since the color I'm using is very intense, like it's very dense color, I only need to apply a very thin layer of it. If the color you're using is more thin consistency or more transparent, then you can also use it to level up the surface to make it smooth. But I will simply apply a thin coat, which means the surface of the nail is still going to be uneven, and that's not something we want. Now let's rewind, and we didn't really build the structure, right? So this is the perfect time to do it. I'm going to use a transparent sculpting gel and apply it on top, but not just a thin coat. I'm also going to build the structure, so this is how I fill in all the spaces between our waves, and this is how we complete the structure of the nail. If you do it right, then you don't really need to do much filing or shaping afterwards. I only buffed the nails and then I seal them with a glossy top coat, and this is the red silk nail art that we have. My client was over the moon and she just couldn't stop looking at them, and I'm sure that this design is going to look gorgeous with some other colors, such as dark blue, dark purple, or green. By the way, if you guys will try it in different shapes and colors, please do not forget to tag me, Nailcou. I would love to see your inspo works. If you enjoyed watching this video, then you definitely need to check this one out with nail transformation and a different, easier version of 3D silk nail art.